This week on Zen and Not Zen, BroTime edition.
My older brother was colorblind, and we used to fuck with him.
Yeah, because you fuck with them after you know that.
Yeah.
Oh, and back with this. I don't know if I said this on a different podcast, but I have a friend, same guy, colorblind. And I'm like, hey man, you ever given any thoughts to those colorblind glasses?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Abso-fucking-lutely not. I don't want to know what I. Like,
That's what I
I'm
thought.
already used to this. This is my reality.
Well, and if I put on these glasses and find this world that's magical that I've missed my entire life, and I can only experience
his
if
point.
I have these
That was his
things,
point.
I'd rather not know.
Yeah.
That would put me in a spiral of depression.
Yeah, and especially if you're at that age. I mean, if you're a child, then whatever, go ahead and do your thing. But like, if you're established adult,
For 36 years, I've
let
been
that
seeing
be
the
your
world this
reality.
way.
Like, this is my reality. I'm cool with this. If I want to see something different, I'll take some mushrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like couples that only have sex solely for procreation.
Mandy and I keep trying. I tell
Right? Fucking tat out.
you. We put in the work. We put in the work. That doesn't seem to work out.
Keep it at it.
Keep it at it. Keep it at it.
I love that.
BroTime. Dude,
Yeah.
I have a Scott. Okay, so I follow Vira Farmiga, who's an actress.
Yep.
Okay,
She's big into metal, isn't she?
dude, I
Yeah.
had no idea. She
Yeah,
is a
what
is
huge
she in, Vera?
metalhead.
The chick from The Departed, the shrink on The Departed.
Departed. She was on Bates Motel.
Yeah,
She does
yeah,
she's
yeah,
a very,
okay.
very
All
good
right.
actress.
Gotcha.
And she is someone that when I look at her and see her and stuff, and I think, oh, does this woman do covers of War Pigs? Probably not. And I was scrolling Instagram, and she did a fucking cover of War Pigs, and her husband, I guess, used to play with like STP or
All right,
Anthrax or something
all right.
like that. So Scott Ian is one of their close family friends, and
Oh,
so
shit.
there was a video on her Instagram of all of the her son is like 10 years old and he fucking shreds.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was her singing Killing in the Name
Oh,
with
yeah.
her son and then someone else's kid on the drums. So it's her surrounded by a bunch of kids rocking out to fucking Rage Against the Machine. And at the end, she just goes, motherfuckers. And I was like, I want to be in this family.
Wow.
Who is this family?
That's really
But
great.
I guess they go to this thing called Rock Academy, which is in upstate New York. And it's
Okay.
just for like kids and adults. Like it's a school of rock for kids and adults. And she goes up all the time and did like War Pigs and does like Anthrax covers. And she's like a huge metalhead. And now I
didn't
love her
watch that. That
even
was
more.
that was in my metal email that I get.
That's
Oh
really
my
fucking
god!
cool.
Yeah, you got to check it out.
Wow.
It's and she's great.
Yeah, definitely gonna check that out. That's fucking dope. Kind of not related, but sort of related. I was watching something. No, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this guy was talking about like mystical arts, right? And he was saying that up until World War II, so in the 30s, there was an active school in Egypt called the Da Vinci School of Mystery, and it had been active
Hogwarts.
since Da Vinci was alive. He went and founded that school. So hundreds of years, this school had been active. What the fuck they're teaching? Nobody fucking knows because the Nazis went in and burned all the shit and fucking shut it down. What the fuck is that, man? Let's start that shit back up again, man.
Yes.
Yeah, let's learn that fucking Da
I
Vinci
mean,
kind of
if
shit,
there,
man.
if there
Thousand-year-old
wasn't
school.
another reason to hate Nazis, they burned all that shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
hell?
if you didn't hate them already, now
Like the
everyone hate 'em.
curriculum, you know, it's gone.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nazis, isn't Pantera kind of or do I have
Well,
the wrong
I mean,
band?
they're
Listeners of mine.
yeah,
Okay.
they're angry. I mean, leave it up to. I mean, shit, their fan murdered their. You know, I mean, yeah, John Lennon's fan murdered. You know,
yeah.
but
Quote
it's-
fan, yeah.
But no, so Pantera's getting back together, you know, and it feels like a cash grab. Apparently, they've got the families, you know, because
Blessings
the
and
family's
everything.
going to get paid.
Yeah.
Family's gonna
Yeah,
get
I would
paid.
imagine.
Okay, go do it.
Yeah. They're not like Courtney Love where they're like,
yeah.
oh, fuck you, this is our music.
But so, like, I knew about this maybe like 3-4 months ago, and I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, whatever. They finally announced what the tour is. They're touring with Metallica.
Okay.
This is going to be the most expensive fucking ticket ever. So Metallica's doing 2 nights in every city in Lumen. So they're playing Lumen Field.
Okay.
They're doing 2 nights, and they're doing different sets each night. Pantera's opening one night, and then a couple other, like, Five Finger Death Punch is opening.
All right,
But
yeah.
it's like... But different sets each night, and they're doing the Snake Pit, which is something they haven't done since the early 90s, where they're doing a stage with a pit in the middle.
Oh, no shit.
Ooh.
Well,
Wow.
no, that's like obviously like fucking $10,000 tickets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
totally.
like, you know.
Wow, that's fucking cool, though. I saw
That'll
Metallica
be
last
dope.
time they were here. I think last time they were here.
Yeah.
But they were
How,
with,
how do they hold up still? Like, still put on a pretty good
fucking
show?
good, man.
Yeah?
See, like
They
I
really did a good
can't
job.
really get there with this kind of because with that kind of money. I mean, I was on the fence about trying to spend the money for Pantera anyway, but it's
Yeah.
just like I even saw some of the pre-sale like nosebleed tickets are $90.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's like
I don't remember
4
what I
or
My
5.
lawn tickets for Joni Mitchell at the Gorge were
Yeah.
$200.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's
piece.
that's
Wow.
a lot, but like that's kind of more what I
Yeah.
like for like what I would put quote reasonable where I usually spend about 1 to 150, 170. I mean shit, if I Roger Waters went on the floor and that was like 150.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like that kind of shit is like $600, $700, $800.
Yeah, no,
like
good.
decent seats that
Yeah.
aren't nosebleeds are like 3 or 4. I'm like, I can't
Yeah,
get there
wow.
to see.
Well,
I
Beyonce-
saw Metallica 20 fucking years ago. I saw Pantera with the guys 20
Right.
years
Right.
ago.
Yeah.
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 But it's like FOMO. It's FOMO because you know it's going to be good.
I
know it's
know,
gonna
but
be
with,
good, yeah.
especially with this whole Ticketmaster debauchery that's going
Yeah.
on,
That's
like
fucking stupid.
it's.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan because I would have been really bummed.
Yeah, I would have been
because I
pissed
went through
too.
the same thing trying to get Joni Mitchell tickets. The same shit that
Same thing happened with
same
Springsteen.
yeah, got kicked out. I had the promo
they
code.
crashed the code.
Cra-
The
yeah,
code
everything
site,
crashed,
yeah.
and it was just like heartbreaking. We finally getting third party tickets or whatever, but I'm worried because I have been able to see Beyonce like 4 times, and I don't think
yeah.
I've spent over $200 to go see her, and I
Yeah.
have decent tickets. Like
Yeah.
I know I was never on the floor or anything like that, but I don't always like to be like,
fucking
oh, you know,
Beyonce, man.
whatever.
She's-
Yeah, it's a good
She
show
can pull
wherever
some
you
shit.
sit. I've
Yeah.
been in nosebleeds, I've been in middle sections, so it's fine. But since the whole Taylor Swift thing happened, I was like, I might not be able to see Beyonce again because if the same thing happens for Beyonce tickets as Taylor Swift, I'm fucked. And
Yeah.
then third party ticket sellers, like they're going for $1,500.
Yeah.
I
Like,
have
I
a hard
can't
time
do that.
believing that our computer programmers of this fucking world can't figure out this fucking problem.
Oh,
It's
that's
not a
the
question-
problem.
it's
They
not-
they have
it's-
it figured out.
They're doing it on
They're
purpose.
doing it
Yeah,
on purpose
it's
because
not-
the third party sellers are through Ticketmaster. So
Well, yeah,
So
and,
they're-
and,
and I would-
and the tickets
for me
and
to
the
show
tic-
up
they own
10
the venue.
minutes or
They
like
own
an
the
hour
venues.
early to the queue or whatever, I have all the right things,
Right.
and then all of a sudden already 5,000 people are in
Yep.
front of me. Like
Yep.
that's not an accident.
Yeah.
That's
There's
bullshit.
just it's horseshit.
Well, I mean, I know fucking people have been fighting Ticketmaster since the 90s,
Yeah.
you know, so hopefully one of these days I'll get that shit figured
Nope.
out. But
No.
I'm yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I don't go to shows anymore because I'm
Yeah.
tired of paying like
I mean,
a car payment to go to a
hell
fucking
yeah,
concert.
dude.
Well,
And
there's that, but I mean, it's kind of you're not a show guy.
Oh, no, I used to go to shows all the time. I was a live fucking engineer. I was
No,
a live sound
I'm
engineer.
well aware of that, Adam. But you
Yeah.
and I have fucking been close for a while, and you are not a show guy.
Well, okay, in my older years, I've stepped away from
Yeah.
crowds in general.
Yeah, yeah,
but one of the reasons
yeah.
I stopped going to shows
'Cause
was
it's
because of the price.
expensive. Yeah.
Even local shows.
That I love the '90s show is definitely
That was
that
good.
was
Right.
worth
was
it.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was our big going out. But I'm the same way because like when I was in my 20s, I was going to shows all the time because if it was a good show, bad show, whatever, it maybe cost me $30 or
Right.
Yeah.
$50
Oh,
at
yeah.
most.
Yeah,
So
right.
I was going to shows all the time. But if I am having to plan a whole day just to get the ticket,
Yeah.
to get in line, to be able to have a promo code, and
Mm-hmm.
then have 2 paychecks worth of money to like spend on a ticket, it's
Yeah.
more of an event, and so I can't do as many of those.
Right.
So,
So,
it's just I feel
Diggable
the same way.
Planets is playing the
Yeah.
Neptune
All right.
December.
Okay.
And it's like, the tickets are right now probably like $50. But when you factor on all the fees, it's like it's now. I didn't buy them because I'm whatever. But it's like it was like $40 ticket, and
Yeah.
then you factor on all the fees. Like the pair of tickets was like almost a $150 now, and it's just
Yeah.
like I can't.
Yeah.
It's another fucking the fees and
The
shit.
show, I do fuck with the Showbox. Like I got to see.
You go buy them at the box office.
Yeah,
but,
and I saw
right.
Lauryn Hill and Lizzo both at Showbox, and I was front row center for less than $100.
That's pretty
Like,
dope.
and I'll just stand up there. That's fine. Like
Yeah,
those are the shows
pretty
I'll
dope.
fuck with. But like any of the big stadium to come,
It
I'm
kinda
like, I
sucks,
can't,
yeah.
dude. It's too much for me
I,
now.
I've been to a lot this year, but that's also because everybody is doing it this year.
Right.
You know, and that's another thing. Like I know, back to your point about just stepping away from fucking crowds and shows and shit. It's like try getting back into that after the fucking last couple of years we had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no
and
shit.
it's like, is this show worth me maybe getting COVID? Like,
Yeah,
am
yeah.
I gonna
Few
go and enjoy myself? Is
No.
it worth risking all of that stuff for me? And that definitely goes into a factor as well. Of
And then if
just
you get
being
sick,
like,
then that's more money you have to factor in.
exactly.
Because
So
you
it's
have
like
to
this
take time
better
off
be
work
fucking
and-
worth it if I'm going.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this year alone, I've been to more shows than I've probably been in since I was like probably 20.
And
Yeah.
they get fucking canceled. That's the
Rage
other
Against the
thing.
Machine, I was supposed to fucking go to
Adele,
that.
fucking Bikini Kill got canceled. I bought Bikini Kill tickets twice, and they canceled both times. And I
Yeah.
finally got to see him at Marymore. But it was just like I don't want to buy these huge big tickets because I don't know what the fuck's
pit
gonna happen.
tickets for Rage. I had pit tickets for
Yeah.
Rage. I had tickets for Rage in Portland, and then I also had tickets to see Steve Winwood because I'm awesome.
That's right.
And
I
fucking
remember
Steve
that,
Winwood's
yeah.
Steve Winwood's like, fuck this noise. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go all the way to Auburn for Steely Dan.
You know, I just love this. All right, so you, Steve Winwood, Rage Against the Machine, and then Crosby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
or Graham
yeah.
Nash.
No,
Graham Nash.
Graham
Graham
Nash,
Nash.
that's right.
Who did you go? But who did you go see
I
in
just loved
California
the
that I
eclectic-
cackled when you
Men at
told
Work.
Men at Work?
Yeah, it's a Men at Work. Men at Work.
Traveled across
I
state
love your-
lines.
Well,
Well,
I
no,
love
no,
how
but
wide your-
when I'm
your
all like,
range
I'm not
is.
sure if I'm gonna go see Diggable Planets. So I cover some fucking shit.
I dabbled with Diggable Planets. Like I get
Cool
with,
like
you know,
that.
cool like that. You know, the
Yeah.
first album, whatever. But
First
I can't
album's
remember
really-
the dude, but one of the male MCs split off and did started a group called Shabazz Palace. And I actually think they're Seattle based. I think he's up in Seattle doing it. And Shabazz Palace is like, it's fucking dope. And it's weird. It's very eerie at times. But it's lyrically like he's talking about like the lost land of Shabazz, right? The
Yeah.
Shabazz peoples, I guess. And but it's lyrically one of the smartest hip hop groups out there. Like he's fucking dope.
All right, I'll
Really
check it out.
fucking dope. But speaking of dope, and I know I texted you guys about this, but like that new Danger Mouse and Black Thought album called Cheat Code.
I get so
Yeah.
many emails about that on vinyl. They're like,
Fuck,
please
man.
buy me this on
Please.
vinyl. And I'm like, I need to listen to it first.
It is such a dope album. Holy fuck. Like Danger Mouse really dialed into like what Black Thought, like his tonality, like his timbre, like all like the cadence that he rhymes in. And Black Thought being as old as he is and like in the game as long as he has been, like he's never sounded as good. Like he sounds so fucking. There's a song called Aquamarine with him and Michael Kiwakame or something. And like from the start, you're just like my jaw's on the ground. I'm like, holy fuck! And just like the wordplay and what he's talking about, it's phenomenal. Every single track, and he's got like Raekwon's on there.
Ooh, shit.
Run the Jewels is on there. ASAP Rocky.
Well, the Jewels was supposed to open for Rage Against
They
the
were,
Machine.
Yeah.
They're
That
still doing
got
shows.
canceled.
They're not afraid to do shows.
Did
RTJ's out
have
there
you heard the
doing
new Fife Dog? I mean, obviously it's not new.
shit. Oh
'cause-
no, I didn't know they put
Yeah,
something out.
so there's some new Fife Dog disc that's out.
Okay, a little compilation of some
I
of the
think
shit
so,
that was
yeah,
released.
yeah.
Okay, I'm getting
You're
on
my
that.
hip hop guy. I gotta,
Yeah. Yeah, I like Fife.
You're
Dog.
cool like that.
I
Cool
really
like
liked
that.
Fife. You know,
Like
a
that.
lot of people. I mean, don't get me wrong, Q-Tip was the shit, but like Fife was great. But on the newest album,
I thought
that
you were
they
more
put
a
out,
Shabazz Muhammad guy.
Ali Shaheed Muhammad. Yeah. But it was interesting because out of all the Tribe albums, I think there's like maybe 6 of them now. You always hear the name Nairobi, but you never hear. I've never heard him rap. Maybe on like 1 or 2 songs, and on the new album, we will. Thanks for all the help. We'll take it from here. I think it's called.
Yeah.
He's all over it. He's on like 5 tracks, and he's got a dope ass flow. I'm like, good for him, man. You've been just like hanging
where
in
you
the back.
been?
Yeah, he's like producing or something.
Oh,
but
okay,
like,
yeah.
But now because Fife passed away while they were recording that album,
Right.
So, and that's another dope album. That's a great fucking album. Busta Rhymes is on that album a lot,
Yeah.
and it was fucking really good. Really,
That's
good
not
guest
their.
tracks.
It's their one that came out like.
5 years ago.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's the newest one
Yeah,
that they
the
put
newest
out,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
great,
I
front to
liked that
back.
one.
That album's dope. as
It's the
shit.
truth.
Yeah, the truth. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And that's our topic.
Hey.
Yeah. Disney music, maybe.
Is that what that is?
Oh, that might
Oh
be.
yeah, that does sound like Disney music.
But yeah, so we're talking about truth today.
Yes.
And this is interesting because so I recently had this topic on my other show. The other
I
show
saw that.
Yeah, right.
I was
so,
like, oh, this is good timing.
and it was a really cool conversation, and so I just love to continue that conversation because we unpacked a lot of stuff with it, and I think. I mean, the basis of the other conversation was talking about common sense and truth, and how like my idea behind common sense is we base a lot of unrealistic expectations on the term common sense.
Yeah.
And then a lot of us get really frustrated when
What's
our
a sliding
idea
scale?
of common
A lot
sense.
of people that sliding scale of common
you
sense.
know, so and that kind of wraps up with truth. Is like, truth. There can be ideas of truth, but truth also has an ability to change, whether you think it should or not. And so so I would just love to keep that conversation going.
Yeah, I think, especially like after listening to like Abraham Hicks type things this last
Right.
couple of years, the idea of like there is no truth. It depends on the person's experience, life lived, opinions. Like
Right.
everybody has their own truth, and it's correct for them.
Right.
And no matter how hard you feel in one direction or another, like it kind of is mind blowing when I think about it. It's also made me a little more compassionate about just letting people live their lives.
Yeah.
And like, because I don't know, like
See,
it's
yes and yes and yes.
yes and yes.
Yes and yes, of course, but here's more yes as I say some more agreeing things. So that we fucking, then we run into shit with Kanye.
Or yeah.
I mean, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Because you got flat earthers. There's
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Yep.
the QAnon, right?
Yeah.
But there's no telling those people their truth is not accurate. So
Right.
as much as we can say it is untrue, look at these facts, look at these documentations, look at these pictures, look at these charts, it's just it doesn't matter.
It doesn't land with them.
Yeah, and
Right.
so it's like you're fighting a truth that exists for them that doesn't exist for you. So it just feels like I don't know, but I agree with you. Like it's a weird slippery slope. So how do you not invite in violence and
Right.
hateful speech and all of these things? But like it's it's kind of it's a trip. It's a mind fuck a
yeah.
little bit.
So I have a theory about this, and it used to be, and it's just a theory, right? And I have to look at it now differently because of the Kanye West factor, right? So let's take flat earthers, for example, right? So somebody in the flat earther, and this is just an example. I'm not saying all flat earthers are like this. I'm not saying that anybody is like this, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is an example, right? So what I found is a lot of times people that have differing opinions have never really been given the opportunity in outside of their closed circle of opinion, shared opinion folks, maybe even before they got to that closed circle. If a person has an opinion that's differing than the general masses and starts to speak this opinion in what they might think is a safe place to somebody else, and then all of a sudden that person gets triggered and is like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Right? Human nature is we dig into our truth,
Yes.
right? And so you meet ignorance with
pride.
aggression. Your aggression, that aggression causes your ignorance to deepen because all you want to do now is protect your ego, so you dig your heels into whatever you've just fucking said. Now, a lot of times we don't get the full chance to fully express our full argument because we're constantly met with that aggression, so we're constantly digging in and bullying back, right? So
Defense mode.
what if folks had an opportunity to fully express their opinion without being interrupted in a debate? It's called steel manning, right? So straw manning is like picking apart somebody's weak argument before they have had a chance to fully express it. Steel manning is helping your opponent or helping the person across from you construct the strongest version of their argument that they can, and you're helping them because you want to have all the information that you have, so then you can fully process it and then respond however you need to.
Yeah.
So you're helping this person fully embrace their understanding their argument. And a lot of times when you finally have somebody support you in realizing what that thing is you're trying to say, then you can see what might be ignorant about that statement. But if you're constantly met by aggression, you're digging in, and then eventually you find your group of people that agree with you because they've also been met with that aggression. Now, the Kanye factor is you've been told yes by everybody your entire life, or for
And
the
the
very
Elon
long
factor right
time,
now, too.
right?
Yeah.
There's nobody that's going to tell those
Fuck.
fuckers no. They
Right.
have yes men surrounding them constantly, right?
Validating their truth.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
rich. People are just trying to say what they need to say so they can either keep their jobs, not get yelled at, or get some kind of fucking crazy ass bonus because you're just a friend of these fucking people, right? And so you're surrounded in these circles of people that are just echo chambers.
Mm-hmm.
And so then all of a sudden, like, yeah, you think whatever you think, and you have all these people that say you're right. So then it's like, cool, I'm going to go to the public with this, right? So I think like finding, like, being the person, because I mean, fuck, I can't tell you that I don't have stupid fucking ideas that maybe are my truths that are nobody else's truths. Like, that's, whatever, right? We all have
The
our
earth
own...
is round, Adam.
No, it's not, Kenzie. I've seen the mountain, the mountain edges.
There's a video on TikTok circulating right now where it's a flat earther is like defending his stance, and so some guy goes, "Okay, but are all the planets flat, or is it just Earth?" And you see this flat earther go, "Now this is where it gets complicated," and then the video ends. I was like,
Jesus Christ.
"No, dude."
There was one where this guy's like filming a video of flat earthing, like his flat earth theory in the kitchen, and it's like his wife, like, I guess was like left the house and like came back in like while he's filming it in the kitchen, and she's just like, "Oh, you're filming your stupid fucking videos again. Oh god, such a waste of time." And he's just sitting there like holding a globe, just like,
Yeah.
see,
So I think, okay, so what I think I'm trying to say with that statement that I made is, as the person receiving the information, holding that space and not being triggered and aggressing the person across you because of the ignorance that you might perceive, right? Now, that's your own personal journey. But, right, if you, just knowing human nature, if you meet somebody with aggression that has what you consider an ignorant stance, be ready for a fucking argument.
Have you been in
Be
any
ready
fight
to
with a
dial
family
into it,
member?
right?
Like
Exactly.
the two attitudes where you go in with that, nobody comes
And
out.
nobody's going to win on
alive.
that, And that's it, like, when you have that kind of when you have that kind of situation, when I'm sharing information with somebody, and I try to make this very clear when I start to have a differing opinion with somebody, is that I'm not trying to convince you my opinion's right.
Right.
I'm just sharing the information that I have, right? And I would appreciate if you did the same. Don't try to convince me that your way is right, that your God is real, that we should all wear or not wear masks, or whatever the fucking thing is that you're trying to argue.
Yeah.
Just present your information and let me digest it and then make my own fucking choice, because I'm a goddamn human that's not you.
Yeah.
I'm put on this planet to have my own perspective, not share yours.
Right.
And if we do share a perspective, that's great. But if we don't, that doesn't make us enemies.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
I think like villainizing
Robin.
Robin, making it. I don't know how to say this in a way that is going to express what I'm trying to say, but I'll try. Like villainizing being wrong or being dumb or being ignorant or
well, no
being
one likes to.
misinformed. It's like if people were able to present, like you're saying, like their ideas in a neutral way of just being like, this is what I think, maybe they would be more like it would be more acceptable to be socially acceptable to be wrong and not have that linked to your value as a human.
Right.
Because I think our rightness is linked to how we feel about ourselves as a human and our smartness and our value in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe a thought can just be a thought rather
Right.
than it linked to your entire existence. And maybe that's why people get so worked up.
Jeopardy's been on for 40 years, not on people getting the fucking wrong answer.
But I mean,
we know who Ken Jennings is. Why?
Right.
But I think that's very fair, because I mean, even though we all have a fucking Google in our pocket,
Yeah.
we should still have the right to
Like, oh, I was wrong.
be wrong and find the information together and not be chastised and held like, okay, so you're wrong, now you're going to be wrong for the rest of my existence.
Right. There's
with
no
you.
coming back from
There's
this
no coming back.
wrongness. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Make that space, and this is a big social experiment, because that has now become the social norm.
Yeah.
And so for somebody to step away from that and try to hold that space and be the humble loser and maybe feel some of that vehemency because not everybody's going to play by these rules.
Right.
But by holding that space and not being triggered by the person that's like nana nana or banana slammer, you know, then you could maybe find that
Some of that shit sticks.
But you know, that person might say that thing, but then see that you're not triggered by that, and then take that to heart the next time that they have a disagreement with somebody else and they win. Maybe they're not going to be a sore winner then.
Well, I mean, how many times though have you looked up something on your phone? Well, I'll just say I've looked up something on my phone. I've been wrong. I'm like, well, let's look this up right now. And I'm like, oh shit, and then like you just go, oh shit, clearly not wrong. And they're like, wait. Then you go, can sometimes.
I was 90% right.
Well, actually, you know, so that's funny you say that because Mon and I get into like discussions, let's call it discussions, about how we remember things.
Yeah.
And that is another big truth, right?
Yeah.
Because how I
eyewitness
remember
testimony's
something,
bullshit.
it's bullshit, right? And like I can barely remember what I just did like 30 minutes ago,
Dude.
right? And you're going to
And in a
ask me
different
like 3
headspace.
weeks ago
Straight up.
and a blah, 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 you know,
I am
we did
so
this
not
and that.
productive at my
Like,
house.
Yeah.
I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
And so like when
Lifestyle
we'll have
choices,
those
yeah.
things, I'll say, this is my remembrance of the situation. Yeah, I don't say that this is true or not,
Right.
but this is
This
the
is
way that
that
I
black and
remembered
white.
this, right? And because it is fucking, it's an idea,
Yeah.
right? And so
And
with
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say with another thing with truths is that you know we can a lot of the truth that we understand is what we feel through our senses, right? So our sight, our hearing, our smell, our touch, our taste, and all that shit, right? And let's say all of those 5 senses work, quote unquote, perfectly well, right? You got all the things working for you. And all that information that comes in is still filtered by your consciousness. And if your consciousness is in a state of peril or in a state of anxiety or a state of depression, this room with just the 3 of us in here, there's no harm. Our dog's not in here. There's nothing harming us. If I was in a state of anxiety, this might terrify me.
Right.
Whereas you guys are both just kicking it, doing whatever the fuck you're doing, right?
Yeah.
My truth is like, holy shit, I can't fucking breathe right now. Like I'm sweating.
Right.
All this thing's happening, and you guys are just kicking it, right?
Yeah, like if we were tripping, like
Yeah.
like
Or like depending on the mood that you're in, when someone says something to you, you're like, well, what did that mean? But depending on like if I'm in a crappy mood, if someone says something the same way, depending on what mood I'm in, I'm going to take it a different way.
100%.
And they might mean the exact same way both times. But as a person who is a recovering, very black and white, right and wrong person that is trying to come around to the gray nuance of life.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't do it either.
Yeah, it's very tough. But it gives me being less black and white about stuff gives me more peace, and it also gives me more confidence in my own thoughts and feelings, and also the space to be like, oh, okay, I don't agree with that, or hey, I was wrong about that, and not having that link to my value.
Self-worth and shit.
Yeah, because that and especially when it comes to family stuff, I think that's really where it kind of broke open for me, and then it traveled over into world and social situations and political things and things like that. But I think that really broke open for me of like, I'm right, you're wrong in family terms. And going off of what you said, I got really high the other night and thinking about how if I was born into another family member's body, had the same brain chemistry, had the same exact experiences, had the same replica life that they have led,
right,
I would be behaving the same way that I disapprove of viewing from this. So it's less about being right and wrong and seeing, not excusing bad behavior and not saying that like, oh, they, were hurt as a kid, so they're allowed to say hateful things kind of a thing, but being able to just be like, that is their experience, and I'm firm in mine, and you're not gonna shake me now.
Yeah, well, it's just also like that's their own fucking thing. I mean, it's like you and I've talked about this to some extent. You using the metaphor of like, don't be using your arm.
Truth is a sword.
Yeah. So I've been known to kind of do that for my entire fucking life. So like,
my sword is bigger than yours, bitch.
But. I mean, it kind of, to continue with that metaphor, cuts both ways, because I'm incredibly critical of myself.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, whatever the fuck that means, again, as far as like self-worth and how we define our own truths and shit,
Right.
you guys maybe not you guys, but it's like, it's really kind of, it's tough because, that's all my own shit. And kind of back to your own point is like, yeah, it's tough because, fucking Kanye.
Yeah.
This Kanye thing comes up because the whole influence thing. It's like, just let him do his own thing. It's like, okay, but no, we're doing some bad shit. And,
Right. But I think... Sorry, go ahead.
It bothers me that we put so much weight on people that are in the public eye, and yes, they have influence, and yes,
Yeah, it's
people
stupid.
feel what resonate
Yeah.
with what they say, and yes,
Yeah.
people do things based on what other people say, politicians,
Yeah.
celebrities, artists, whatever. But I would like to live in a world where Kanye's can exist and it's not going to affect how other people
It's a better
view
point.
their thing.
Yeah.
So how can we shift the focus to less away from demonizing this man who is
Yeah,
probably
why-
having a psychotic break,
Yeah.
and more about just being like, you
Why'd
all
we
need to worry about yourselves.
And
like,
why'd
let
we
him
shit on Anthony Fauci for,
right,
like,
and and J.K. Rowling and the
Right.
same thing, and like, yes, she is spouting all kinds of very harmful things that contribute to real life violence against trans people that have real life consequences. So how can you say, oh, she can just say whatever she wants, but at the same time, like, how can we empower people not to be listening to others'
Yes.
opinions and acting on those opinions of others as like fuel to the fire, I
Right.
guess, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
No, that's exactly. I'm right there with you. I think okay. So there's a saying: it gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, like, to an extent, like, we have to see how absurd some of these people and the opinions that they have that we shine these spotlights on.
And it's hard when it's
right?
people
And
running your
it's
country, too.
It's their
Yeah,
opinion, right?
You know,
shit.
that's
But
it's
now
hard.
that-
He who shall not be named.
Right.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, we have to look at that and say, like, okay, so all these people that we're looking, quote unquote, up to have all these fucking crazy ass ideas. Like, do you really support these ideas? Are you really going to follow that individual maybe you follow the individual through their stardom and now they're going into a different realm, and that's like, okay, that's opening up a whole new realm. Like,
Yeah.
we have to see how absurd this shit is
Yeah.
before we're like, I'm not going to play this game anymore.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
And every single human being on the planet, if you dig deep enough, you're going to find something gross about that person.
Oh, 100%.
So, like, even these people that we hold in such high regards that nothing has come out yet or nothing, whatever. Like, Helena Bonham Carter kind of just did this with talking about J.K. Rowling and somebody else, of just being like, if you dig deep enough, every person you look up to, how good or
Oh,
bad
yeah,
they might
dude.
be, there's going to be some dark shit
I
in
know-
there.
I know
So,
this
like,
comes as
if we
shock.
are
I'm
going
not
to
beyond reproach, guys.
yeah, like,
Not
no one
beyond
is,
reproach.
and so we need to stop putting so much weight on other people's words
Right.
to support our own thoughts and actions. And that is a slippery slope, and I don't know how we get there, and also avoiding, real life violent consequences
Right, yeah,
to
yeah.
people. So
Well, actually, so rewinding a little bit back to Robin's statement, the double-edged sword, a little bit ago. So yes, truth is a sword as far as cutting other people down, but then that truth sword can come to ourselves because
Yeah.
we're so critical on ourselves.
Yeah.
So that is always where it starts. Is how
came from
you
my own
how
insecurities,
you
absolutely.
treat yourself is
Yeah.
how you're going to treat others.
Yeah.
And if you're not kind and you're not loving to yourself in some kind of way, then that's going to show up in how you treat others.
Yeah.
But when you start making space for yourself and giving yourself credit and letting those bullshit stories go, creating new stories of self-worth instead of self-loathing, right? When you start to do that, you'll see how that manifests in the way that you treat other people, and that kindness that you'll give other people, and that space that you'll allow, because now you're allowing yourself space.
Yeah.
You're allowing yourself to make a mistake and not fucking criticizing yourself until you make yourself cry internally.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes externally.
Well, and it's that age-old saying, hurt people hurt people.
Right.
And I was no more... I at my peak of hurting others was my peak of my own self-hurting.
Yeah.
So trying to see these people that are actively doing harm against others, they're doing the same to themselves, because I know it, because I've been there.
Right.
So having compassion in that way of just seeing this person as this is not a truth I need to follow or a truth I need to put weight on, but I see them as like seeking, like, I'm going to make you feel as bad as I feel.
Right. And I think that, as I start to get older in life and just think a little bit more openly, that's one of the reasons I'm really have a struggle with government and politics is that, one of the ideas of changing the world is you got to start with yourself, right? And so you have all these groups of people that are trying to make an impact to the world. They're trying to make an impact on whatever the fuck they're doing. And again, like, we've all done shit. I'm not saying nobody has skeletons in their closet. Nobody's not done blow. Nobody's done something fucking stupid, accidentally hit somebody and felt bad about it, got help and didn't do it again. Whatever the fuck happens, right? Everybody's got shit they're fucking done, right? But I don't see people doing work on themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Politicians, I don't see
shit.
work they're doing on themselves. If they were, they wouldn't be slandering other fucking politicians. They wouldn't be doing all this fucking shady ass shit because they were working on their own moral accord, right?
Yeah.
And when you start to work on your own moral self, then we can start to work on the world as a whole, as a fucking county as a whole, the state as a whole, whatever it is. But until you got yourself in check and understand what's going on with you, and not to mean you're fucking healed. No, there's no ED. We're all fucking working on this shit, right?
So
but you're
daily
doing
fight.
the work. You're doing some kind of work, right? Let that be the thing that we talk about. Let that be the thing that shows like, hey, I'm a moral human being because I'm doing work because I know I fucked up and I know I could continue to fuck up, but I'm choosing not to.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, people that have, and this is on personal opinion, but people that have that claim that I've never done anything bad, I'm pure, whatever. I don't trust that.
No.
And not the fact that I don't trust that you've never done anything bad, but if you've never done anything bad, quote unquote bad, if you've never dipped a toe into what you would consider evil, you have no idea how strong that power is. And when you know how strong the power is, and you've chosen to come back from that and do something good, that's true
work.
strength.
Yeah.
That is true fucking strength.
That's heavy lifting shit.
Yeah.
Kind of like the analogy, you gotta just, maybe just do just one bump.
Hey man, I love people after one bump. Yeah, that's great. Everybody's cool with me after one bump.
Jesus Christ.
Well, most of the people that have some kind of wisdom, that have shared some kind of wisdom with me in my life, that I feel have figured it out.
They've been to the dark.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Come back
They've done
out.
some fucking
Well,
crazy
that's-
shit in their
So
life.
we'll see. I mean,
So
I
that's how
guess
you get a
it's-
full perspective.
I guess it's I mean,
the only way.
when we kind of look for like who we view as kind of the sage, wise ones, and everyone's got their own kind of
Totally, everybody's got our
Yeah.
mentors.
but it's usually it's not people that have stayed. For me, it's not people that
It's
have
not
stayed.
Ned Flanders.
It's not, But so it's funny,
Sexy
but I
Flanders.
mean, in my mind, the people that have quote never really done that have usually kind of been in a very strict religious thing, and they've bought into it, for better for worse, and
That's
just
where my
and
development
just
came
like
from.
just owned it and just do the Ned Flanders thing or
Yeah.
whatever,
Right,
and that's
right. Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
But it's like I mean. Is their kind of quote peer? Is that just still just all quote God or whatever and the religious scripture and that's it? Because like who do they quote look up to?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the Reverend Lovejoy.
Reverend
that's
Lovejoy. Yeah, right, exactly.
And then that's just the intermediary because they got to have somebody.
Right. And see, that's the thing with religion.
Is that like really? You know what I'm
I
saying?
have
Well-
never seen someone follow one particular person, God, or idea of thought to a T and have it work out.
Right. Yeah.
Like for themselves or for others.
Right.
Like it's if you follow one person's thought or one religion thing and that is your end all be all, like that is
Gotta diversify.
I've
You gotta drink fucking Coca-Cola.
never seen it.
You gotta have
And the
like
Christians
coffee
that
or
I
some
fuck
shit. You know
with-
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Chocolate. Fucking do something. Adultery,
drink a coffee.
exercise, something.
watch a porno, it's fine.
Right. Come on, man. Live your life.
But yeah,
Snuff.
not as enough. Don't watch that one. There are some black and whites. But yeah,
Like
it's,
a player piano in the background.
yeah, just like that limiting thought mentality spreads to every aspect of your life.
Right.
And so it doesn't have to be about the religious thing, but like I think that's kind of where my black and white self-righteous thing came from, growing up in a church that didn't accept me. And so I thought if I could be the best religious person I could, then
Right.
I could overcome these bad things. So if I can be right about this, then I can make myself right. And so that I didn't, stay in that religion, but that mindset stayed with me for a very long time. And it switched to the other end of the pendulum where I was like, there is only one right way to do this thing. There's only one right way to handle this thing. And that is the same mentality that I fought against when I was a kid. But that was the only thing that I felt brought me rightness as a human. If I can do enough right things, then I can be right, instead of going inward first and just being right in my imperfection and then working out secondly.
Yeah. There's a gentleman I was talking to a while back, and he gave me this perspective on religion that kind of just shut me up for a minute and made me open my eyes a little bit more. But he was saying, so humanity, well, that's another whole other story, but what the archaeologists say that religion and what we know as humanity and agriculture and blah, blah, blah has been around for about 6,500 years. But
where's that school?
Yeah, right.
I need to go to that fucking Da Vinci school.
Right?
Fucking Nazis, man. Burning the curriculum. All those overhead transparencies.
Yeah. Microfiche.
Yeah. Microfiche.
But okay, so let's say religion's like 6,500 years old, right? And we have no idea how long humanity's going to go for, right? We have no idea.
TikTok, motherfucker.
Doesn't look good.
Right?
TikTok.
Doesn't look good.
This person's point was, we're only seeing a snapshot of religion. We're not seeing the full breadth of what religion can grow
humans
into.
as a whole, comparative. Yeah.
Right, and so like it can be in that process, that adolescent process, where it's awkward and it's weird and it's kind of like growing, but it doesn't know how to grow properly. And again, I'm not like, I didn't buy into this, be like, that makes sense, but it gave me something to think about, right? Because everything is in that perspective of growth.
If you want to use that as the same way to acknowledge the fact that religion has existed in the snapshot of like what we consider our existence and also this planet's existence so very little, that it's like, you're exactly right, that this construct in the last 6,000 years is at its infancy because we've been around this planet for 4.6 billion years.
Right.
I'm surprised your Bible. Sorry, I'm talking to this guy.
Yeah.
Didn't mention the fucking T-Rex, because if this was all happening on the 6,000 years.
Well, there's a YouTube video of like the existence of like the universe, and it's an 8-minute video, and it'll show, it's a sped up timeline of like how long it took for plants to develop, and it's it'll have the blip of the dinosaurs, and it'll have the creation of stars and things like that, and then the last 0.1 second of the video is humans.
Yeah.
Like comparative to everything else. So I also think, like, going back to your point of having a place where shit is really fucked up right now, but it's because we are babies trying to figure out how to make it right. So we can't make it right without figuring out, not right's the bad word, but like
the directionality,
the direction of where we want to go as a human race without shit bubbling up. Right. So we have to get through that dark point to be able to see what's working, what's not working for us as a human race, as an individual, and we need to be able to, like, that is a natural process. That contrast can't, that contrast is necessary for us to get to the next point.
Right.
So while it's a painful point of contrast in our human existence, it's a necessary point to be able to suss out the shit that we don't want in our existence anymore.
Which is basically what we just said about individuals, right?
Yeah.
Totally, yeah, right. There's a. Do you know who Graham Hancock is? You guys heard that name?
No.
He wrote a book.
Herbie Hancock.
The first book I read of him was called The Fingerprints of the Gods. And so Graham Hancock's been writing books since the 90s, and he's been on like a bunch of history documentaries, Ancient Aliens, shit like that. He doesn't do the alien side of it.
Oh, maybe that's right. Okay, yeah. Maybe that's
but
right.
basically, his idea is that humanity is way older than we think, and that a lot of the ancient sites and the ruins that we look at go back actually like almost like 20, 30,000 years before that. And so that's his kind of idea that he goes off of, and a lot of people give him a lot of shade and throw some shade at him, but like he's got a lot of information. But there's a docuseries on Netflix right now that he's hosting called Ancient Apocalypse.
I can't wait to watch that.
It is so fucking good.
It's on my list.
It's so good.
I'm waiting for Mandy to be done with rehearsal so we can binge it together.
So Graham Hancock is the host of all that.
Great.
If you ever want to read that book, it's like 1,000-page.
Done.
It's fucking dope as shit.
Done.
Talking about like just all this information about how old humanity really kind of is, and all the information and all the evidence that he's found, that archaeologists are like, no, we're done. we're done. And that's his truth, right? Because he's battling his truth against this established quote unquote truth.
And the establishment is like, look at these documents, look at this
Right.
stuff, look at this is all real.
But what's really interesting is that these scientists that are quoting the established documentation of all this shit, when Graham counters them, a lot of times they'll go into that like childish, like, well, fuck you, this is just the way it is. Why do you ask so many questions and like, all get all just like flustered?
You're challenging my existence
Clearly
right now.
they lose their argument,
Right.
and it's very interesting to watch. But that one's a really good one. I love
That's right up my
that
alley.
truth,
Yeah.
right? The idea that we are older and that we were wiped out because the whole multiple civilizations talk about the flood, right? There's in our Bible, it's in ancient Incas talk about this, the
Our
Aztecs
Bible.
talk
The
Yeah,
one that
our
we-
Bible,
the one that we share.
The one that's on the
The
table
Bible.
I need
right
to get
now.
that. I need to get that.
it's
Yeah,
in
the
the
one that's
Quran.
The one that's in between us
Are
right
you done,
now.
Bar?
Yeah.
You can.
But
You
it's
just
in all
touched my
these-
hand. I was holding it.
But the story of the floods in countless stories, right? And so Graham Hancock's idea is that there was a civilizations around that reached some kind of epoch, that reached some kind of like established, like very technologically advanced.
Ancient
The
aliens
whole
searches
idea of
on
like
that.
Atlantis
Yeah.
and all that shit,
Totally.
And then the flood came through, wiped everybody out, and the survivors are what they call like Quetzalcoatl or Viracocha or the Hawaiian god Maui.
Yeah.
That made their ways to these main lands and then shared agriculture and shared the ways of stop sacrificing humans. You don't need to do that. That's
Yeah.
not a real thing. Here's how you do this. Here's how you honor your gods.
Yeah.
And then all these.
And at one point, that was truth.
Right.
If I want my
Right.
crops to go, I got to kill my firstborn.
Right.
That's the way we do.
Think about colorblind people.
Right.
Are you going to tell them that's not purple? No,
Yeah.
that's really red. But
Right.
to them, it's purple.
Right.
My old
know?
roommate was colorblind, and that shit, he didn't tell people about it.
My older brother was colorblind, and we used to fuck with him.
Yeah, because you fuck with them after
Yeah.
you know that.
Yeah.
Oh, and back with this. I don't know if I said this on a different podcast, but I have a friend who, same guy, colorblind. And I'm like, hey man, you ever given any thoughts to those
Glasses.
colorblind glasses?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Abso-fucking-lutely not. I don't want to know what I.
Man,
Like,
that's what I
Like,
thought.
I'm already used to this. This is my
Well,
reality.
and if I put on these glasses and find this world that's magical that I've missed my entire life,
Yeah.
and I can only
was
experience
his
if I
point.
have these
That was his
things,
point.
I'd rather not know.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
would put me in a spiral of depression.
Yeah, and especially if you're at that age. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
a child, then whatever, go
Yeah.
ahead and do your thing. But like, if you're established adult,
For 36 years, I've
let
been
that
seeing
be
the
your
world
reality.
this way.
Like, this is
Yeah.
my reality. I'm cool with this. If I want to see something different, I'll take some mushrooms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like couples that only have sex solely for procreation.
Mandy and I keep trying. I tell you.
Right? Fucking tat out.
We put in the work. We put in the work, but it doesn't seem to work out.
Keep it at it.
Keep it
You
at
never
it.
know.
Keep
You
it
never
at
know.
it. Keep it at it.
I love that. Oh man, I remember my dad once told me when I moved up here from Texas. I lived in Texas for like 20 years, same rough area, so I knew the area, knew the culture, knew the people, all that shit. And then I moved up here, and Seattle's very different. I did experience the Seattle freeze. A lot of people say it's not a real thing. It was real for me.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get used to this area up here, and going to school and working and all that shit. So, and I was talking to my dad one day, and I was like, dude, people up here don't have any fucking common sense. And my dad never really dropped knowledge on me. It wasn't like, not that he wasn't a wise man. Like, he always had like shit to say, but
Sure.
it's usually trucker
Save
shit.
that for
Reserved
the
it.
fishing hole.
Right.
Exactly. He had some good songs to sing. That was good stuff. Trucker songs.
Yeah, of course.
But he told me, he's like, son, your expectation of common sense in others shows your lack of common sense in yourself. And I was like,
Ooh, bars.
damn. All right, fuck you. But that's good. That's good because like,
Yeah.
you gotta like common sense that it's cultural, it's household based, it's like class based sometimes. I mean, it's just it common sense.
He doesn't know how to use the
doesn't
three
really,
seashells.
like go across the world, right?
And I also think this might be a controversial opinion, but I think having laws set in place telling people what to do enforces the fact that we think you are dumb.
Yeah.
So we have to put these rules, like parents,
Yep.
to not use your own brain. And it is going to make people dig in and do those things because it's like, fuck you, don't tell me. Well, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me kind of
Right.
thing.
Yep,
And
totally.
so
I'm a sovereign citizen.
yeah,
I'm one of those
and
people.
so I would love to be able to experiment in a lawless world, not in the sense of like purge, type stuff,
Right, yeah.
but like, what if we could just blink our eyes or go to sleep and wake up tomorrow in a peaceful world with no laws, but there's no anger, so there's not like anybody's raging against anybody. We're not trying to like pay our fucking heating and light bill. Like, what kind of world would that look like? And how would we feel as individuals without laws? Because we are fully functioning, intelligent beings that are able to make choices. But we have put these systems in place that tell us what we can and can't do. And that drives people fucking insane.
makes
And
them
then
wanna
it
do the
creates criminals.
Right.
And it creates people that break the law. And it creates all of these things. So I'm not saying that, like, I don't know what I'm
No, I
trying to
feel
say,
you.
but like it's
No,
something I've been thinking about.
I got 2 examples for that. So I dated a woman named Esther, and she was from Australia. And before I went to Australia with her and experienced it, she always used to tell me that she's like, America is fucking baby proof. This country is fucking bullshit. Like, Australia is hard to live. Like, there's things that are there's spiders bigger than your face in Australia.
Yeah.
A kangaroo will beat the fucking shit
The
out of
wilderness
you,
is the
right?
law out there.
There's like
Yeah.
the parrots like just squawk like a fucking vulture over your head.
Fucking
and shit,
magpies,
right?
yeah.
All kinds of shit. Alligators, all kinds of shit. Australia will fucking kill you. Over here, you can
Saw
sue.
none
you
of
can
that in
sue.
Brisbane. Got hammered in a bunch of bars.
Well, it's not like
Fucking
it's
took
not,
a subway.
experience.
Yeah,
not,
not
like
at
it's
all.
not safe. It's
Yeah.
like it's a tough country.
No, I know
but
what you mean, yeah.
but she's like in America, a motherfucker can sue McDonald's because he burned himself with
Yeah,
his own
Allie,
fucking coffee,
right.
right?
That one lady's suing Easy Mac because it takes longer than regular Mac.
Right. It's stupid, right? It's just ignorant. And so, yes, so there's already areas of the world, but also you have places like Holland and Denmark that have that are experimenting with that, right? They've decriminalized and legalized all drugs, right? Or decriminalization.
Well, look at us decriminalizing weed just in this state, just like how it cuts down on...
No, legalized. We legalized.
Oh, legal. Yeah.
Legalized,
But,
you could buy it.
right.
So, but in Holland, they've decriminalized all drugs, all hard drugs, meth, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And their criminal rate, their crime's gone down. All this stuff has gone down because people are like, the
It's out in the
stigma's
open.
around it again.
Yes.
It's not there anymore, so we're just not going to do it.
Right.
It's,
Well, it's like when you're 18, all you want to do is drink, and all you want to do is get into bars and get your fake ID. And then when you're 21, you're like, I'm just going to stay home.
Totally.
Fun's gone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I
not
still went to
everybody.
bars.
Not everybody.
Still went
I'm
to
just
bars.
saying.
Shit didn't wear off.
But-
I'll go right now. You buying?
But yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about of just like how much harm are we doing ourselves the more laws we put in place to protect these vulnerable communities. You're implying these people aren't able to take care of themselves, and a lot of the times right now they're not based on the systems that we have in place.
Right,
They're not
exactly.
able to take care of themselves, so we have to put more systems in place. But what if we got rid of the system?
Yeah, instead of stacking more systems on
Right,
top of
exactly,
shit.
and creating more people to become, vulnerable. And it's instead of looking down on folks saying that, oh, you need help, oh, poor you, oh, you can't do it for yourself, like assuming these people can do it for themselves. How can we help you do it for yourself?
Right, exactly.
Instead of how can we help you keep you from doing these things?
Yeah, it's
like
like
how
teach a
can
man
we
to fish kind of
empower
thing.
people to do that?
Yeah. Totally off topic, but I just remembered I was reading this article today, and there was like monks on meth. And I was
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like, so in Tibet,
I bet that
A
meditation
lot
room's
of them.
dope.
All of them.
yeah,
all of them.
all these monks in the entire fucking monastery
tweaking.
were all fucking on meth.
On purpose?
Yeah.
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 As for what reason?
Apparently, meth is cheaper in this Tibetan village than beer. It's like 50 cents for a pill. And something happened. I don't know what was going on, but yeah, all these monks were fucking on meth, and they had to shut the monastery down, ship all the monks off to fucking.
Oh shit! I
rehab.
thought it was like a spiritual practice, like they were doing meth
No,
instead of
they
mushrooms or
just-
something like that.
Nope, they
Oh,
just all got hooked on
wow.
meth.
Yeah.
Getting down.
Dang.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's a different vibe in that
Trying to
monastery.
Because
Right.
I've always romanticized about just saying, I'm just gonna go at one point in time in my life, I'm just gonna go live in a monastery and just go
I
live out
just
there.
finished
pass
the
life out there.
Wisdom
Tweak,
of
huh?
Forgiveness by the
know.
Dalai Lama, and
Just
just thinking
fucking
of like that would be a
sit there
dope
and
life.
smoke some fucking glass. With
But
some
yeah,
guys.
I'm like, holy shit, I went out to fucking some Himalayan
Have an
Tibetan
existential
monastery,
crisis, just
and all of a
tweaking.
sudden I'm now tweaking on meth. I'm like, no, I made it this far without getting on meth. I'm not doing
There's
it.
like
now.
one guy who's like, man, this guy is just the meditation fucking king. And then you go
Bouncing
over
off
there and
the
he's just
walls.
fucking smoking rock. You're like, oh, that's him.
Okay, quantum entanglement. Just hear me out.
Right. Oh, I wish somebody would do that for me. I need somebody to tutor me on that shit.
I know. Well, there's this thing that because apparently now that Mandy's working in schools again, kids don't have textbooks. They don't teach with textbooks anymore. So
Okay.
they kind of leave kids to their own devices of like figuring out how to learn, which
interesting.
would be a nightmare for me as a student. The kind of way I learned, like I needed a textbook.
Yeah.
And Mandy's trying to relearn math because she is a special ed IA that helps kids, like she tutors kids.
Okay.
And her, not specialty, but what she got hired for was math and science. Turns out she hasn't done it in 20 years, so she needs a little help, but there's no textbooks.
Yeah.
But there is this thing online called Khan Academy or Khan University
Okay.
that has quantum physics, any subject that you could think of, algebra, whatever. And she said it's been really helpful. So I've been wanting to do, because I feel the same way about quantum physics, where it makes just the tiniest bit of sense, enough to keep me interested.
Exactly.
But then you get too deep into it, and I'm like, you lost me.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
There's a podcast that I listen to. His name's Sean Carroll, and it's called Sean Carroll's Mindscape. And he's written a litany of books about quantum physics. He's a physicist and a philosopher.
Yeah.
But he is able to speak in a way that I understand.
Yeah, break it down for
And
me.
so a lot of the guests that he has on, like they'll go off in their tangents, and then he's like dial it back, and then come
Sean
back
Carroll?
here. Yeah, he's
Okay,
great.
I'm
He
gonna check
actually,
that out.
I think he's been he's part of the writing. Or he writes for like the Marvel movies to make sure that the people like stay.
Literally
in
all I
line
want to do
with
is sit
something.
in a writer's room for a fucking Marvel movie with
Yeah.
the multiverse shit.
That's So
Yes.
he's one of the consultants to make sure that
Oh,
what
I
physics
wonder
they want
how
to
they do
continue
that.
is. Yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's great.
That would be a dream
Sean
for
Carroll's
me.
Mindscape. So I just
Holy
actually I
shit.
listened to when I dropped the girls off on Friday and listened to one of his podcasts on the way back, and it was on string theory and quantum entanglement. It was really interesting.
Well, and then just having all of these things that we thought were so true for so long, and black holes, quantum entanglement, all these things that are just like, these are just theories. Now there's actual proof, and the way that we're discovering these things is thinking outside of this pre-established box.
Right, yep.
So I'm excited for humanity in that sense of like, we might figure out maybe what consciousness is.
Right,
like
right.
maybe not within my lifetime, but at some point, and that would be really fucking
Yep.
exciting.
Well,
and
and
people are interested enough now, and we have the technology and I don't know.
Yeah, and the desire to.
Yeah, the desire to find
Well, and
out.
I think like in an area like that, there can never be a full truth.
Right.
There can just be like,
Yeah.
hey, this is our current understanding.
Right.
Because if you say a truth, then
Can't
that kind
measure
of
it.
doesn't allow other information to come in, right? And something like that, like I don't think we'll ever fully understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Until we're
definitely not in
crook.
our lifetime,
Right.
but and in whatever
On this
how many
existence
lifetimes,
plane.
we every time we get I love the idea like now that we can see what like individual protons are doing, they only do it whenever we look at them. When we're not watching them, they're over having a fucking sexy party.
Insane.
It's like
Yes.
that. What the fuck is that, man?
That is-
like that's like proven shit in fucking physics, quantum physics, man, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Because like.
That's my current escape from the world of like, how can I feel good about humanity? I just kind of tap into that kind of shit
Yeah.
where it feels the closest I could get to magic is what it feels like.
Right.
Thinking about that kind of stuff, because it doesn't make sense, and a lot of it is just like, oh, it could be this, and I don't know how they're doing that, and oh, I don't have the answer for this, but it just seems like magic.
There are times, so with that whole idea of like the protons not doing what it's quote unquote supposed to do unless
Right.
you're looking at it, that leads to the idea that like, okay, so in that, let's say this bathroom behind me is the door is shut, there's no windows, there's no cameras, there's no anything, there's no eyes in that room at all, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to see anything. So that bathroom is just not a bathroom. It's just doing whatever the fuck it wants to. It's all just quantum things just fucking floating around. But as soon as you open that door, it's like bathroom.
Yeah.
Goes back to being a bathroom.
Yeah.
Right? So
Or like toys when you were
Toy
growing up.
Story, yeah.
exactly, totally, right? So with that idea, so every night at the end of my day, I sit in here and I meditate. And sometimes Olive's in here with me, sometimes she's not. And when I'm by myself in here and I'm deep, and it's only 10 minutes, right? And when I get like about 3 minutes into it, I start to like drop in, and there's times where I feel that experience where like my whole body just like goes away. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
That detachment feeling.
like right now I'm part of this salad bowl, and I'm part of
Yes.
that picture, and I'm part of the wood, and I'm
Yes.
part of all the stuff that's in this room, all the information that's in these fucking books. It's like all just kind of merging. But as soon as I open my eyes, I'm just like,
Because how much does
our
our conscious affect or our intent and our viewpoint affect what we see and around us? Did you watch that documentary Trip to Infinity on Netflix?
I don't think so.
Watch that one.
Right.
That will blow your mind. There was a video about like if you have this box that nothing can get in or out, and you put an apple in this box, you know, for 1 billion years, it'll become every possible thing that it could be in that box.
I did watch that.
And then it'll
Totally.
eventually come back to the apple.
Yes.
And it was just like, I have to watch this 30 more times.
Yes.
Like, say that
100%.
again.
Yes, I fucking my jaw was to the ground. I'm like,
Yes. But the whole documentary is
this.
great. And
Yeah.
they talk about it like mathematically and scientifically
Yeah.
and theoretically and all that stuff. So
that was great.
yeah, it's just fascinating.
There's a group of scientists at the University of Michigan that are working on androgynous DMT. So androgynous DMT is our internal DMT that we create in our own body, and so scientists before have never we know it's in our body, but have a hard time measuring the levels because they always thought there was just trace amounts, but what they're now finding is that it metabolizes super quick, right? So when we actually have not the equal amounts, but comparative amounts of DMT in our brain comparatively to like dopamine and serotonin. Not the same amounts, but as much enough to consider it one of those kind of functional fluids, right?
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting. And so what they're they're hypothesizing is that the DMT that's androgynous in our system is constantly moving through our system. They used to think it was just in our dream state. So now what they're thinking is it's constantly in our system because it helps us decode the true world that's out there into something we can actually understand.
Because we're living in a hologram.
Well, if you look at the
Well, doesn't our brain flip what the fuck we're looking at?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so there's devices out there
Like
that
the
can,
true mirror thing.
Yeah.
right. Well, there's devices out there that can emulate what other species, other beings, other like animals, their eyesight looks like. Right? You can see what a hummingbird looks like. You can do like sees and all this shit, right? And so if you see that, like a cat, a dog, a hummingbird, a deer, a fucking alligator, it's very different than what we see.
Right.
It's like sometimes it's ultraviolet, sometimes there's highlighted colors, especially hummingbirds. They can see pollen and shit. But that, I mean, everybody, like clearly they're all seeing something different. We're seeing something
And hearing
very different.
things
Right, exactly.
differently.
You know, so it doesn't surprise me that there's probably shit out there that's floating around that we have no idea.
Yeah.
Like our spirit world could be this world. You know, it's just they're out of our way and then we're in a different
I think it's very much like the His Dark Materials thing where it's just a slice away.
Yep.
Like we all live on the same plane, but it's different planes within the same plane,
Right.
and the access to it depends on the what you can tap into. But for a long time, I'm like, I think we live in like the subtle knife world.
Yep.
A little bit.
Well, that's one of the most provable. That's kind of like M theory right now,
Yeah.
where we have universes stacked like a millisecond, like a billionth of a millisecond just across from each other. And so, like, you know, we're having this conversation. Sometimes we're not. Maybe we're in your house. Maybe we're in Robin's house. Maybe we've never met. You know, but every possibility is happening in all these different multiverses that are going around.
I love
They're
that
just
Rick
all
and
right
Morty
there.
episode about that.
That's a great one too. I fucking love Rick and Morty.
Apparently, I need to watch more fucking Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty's the shit,
They
man.
tap into all kinds of multiverse
Oh my
stuff,
God,
especially
they're
the newer
great.
seasons. Yeah, but there is that one episode where it's just like every possible, like they all walk in the door and then different decisions are made, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Do you have Hulu?
Oh yeah.
Do you watch Solar Opposites?
No.
It's worth it.
Is it good?
It's
Okay,
worth it.
I'll tap. Yeah,
It's really
Hulu
good.
keeps trying to tell me to watch it, but I haven't. That
Yeah.
and American Dad. I haven't watched American.
I'm not big on.
Okay,
But,
cool. Solar Opposites.
Little Demon If that
I
pops up,
love
yeah,
Little
that was
Demon.
good.
Mandy and I,
Danny DeVito.
with his little daughter, I fucking love it. Yeah, that's a great show.
Oh yeah, the Solar Opposites is dope. It's a good
Okay,
one.
cool. I'll check it out. Now that I got a recommendation.
Hell yeah. All right. Anything else on
Ta-da.
truths?
10 out.
No.
All right. Find your own. There you go. See you next time.
Find your own. Yeah. I couldn't say, yeah. Find your own. Yeah.
My sword!